Welcome to Speed Round Sunday on the Parenting Roundabout podcast, where we share a mini episode from our past for your weekend listening pleasure. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode.
Today's question is, how many different houses have you lived in your life? And for this, we are including apartments, dorms, domiciles of all sorts. And we thought we'd give them a quick count and see how we compare here. I think Catherine's got me beat and Nicole's probably got both of us beat, but I counted up 13 for myself. There was a house that my family lived in when I was born that I don't even remember, but I know it was there. I've seen pictures. I grew up in the same house all my childhood, high school. We didn't move at all, but in my college years and 20s, I moved around a lot. And then since I've been married, I've lived in 2 different houses. So 13 seems like about right. But most of that it was like, 2 houses for my first 18 years, 2 houses for the past 25 years, and in between a whole bunch of apartments. How about you, Catherine? How did you count up yours?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I basically only remember one house, but there were actually 2 before that one. From when I was little. And one of them was actually across the street from the main one that I lived in. We lived in that house, then we moved out of town a little ways, and then my parents took a sabbatical to England, as we've mentioned on this podcast before, with the crying babies at the rental car place.
That's right.
There were
my favorite story.
I believe there were 2 places there in that one year that we stayed. So my childhood was actually 5, even though it just felt like just 1 to me. And yeah, then there was like the various college and dorms and apartments, and I studied abroad for a year or for a semester. So I lived with a family over there. Lived in a couple apartments in New York City when I first moved there after college, and then 2 places with my husband. One apartment in New Jersey and 1 house now.
Yep. We think of all those places we lived like in our 20s and how much rent we paid, deposits. And
I have a friend who's been living in this country for quite a long time, and she's decided that she wants to become a citizen. And so she has to come up with all of her addresses.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, I don't think that's going to be that hard, but every time she left the country, like every time she went back to Canada or, took a vacation somewhere or whatever, she has to account for that for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So she's like, that would be hard. This is going to be hard.
Yeah.
We need it, yeah.
Every now and then, for like some proof of identification for something, have you ever had? They give you a bunch of addresses and said, have you ever lived at these addresses? And, some of them it's like, oh, yeah, actually, I remember that place. And some of them it's like, I don't think so, but I'm not sure. Did I? Does it look familiar?
Remember a couple years ago there was that like website called like Spokio or something, and you had to go check and see what kind of information they had and delete it. And I remember I checked it, and it said that I was still living. It said that I was living in my husband's old apartment with his old roommate. Like the 3 of us were still there living together, like 10, 15 years later.
Give me a sitcom.
Sounds a little shady.
Yeah. So that's how accurate that website was. Just saying.
So Nicole, tell us about all your many, many places you've lived.
Well, I think I'm up around 30-ish, if not more, I want to say. Because my husband and I have moved 19 times since we've been married.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
And like Catherine's friend, when we moved to the States, we had to list every domicile we had lived in. And that was agonizing. Yeah. And I moved around a lot so half of my life has been with my husband moving around. And then as a child, I lived in Canada, Australia, and the Fiji Islands all before I was 3.
Wow.
So, and then I stayed so then we moved back again from the Fiji Islands to Canada when I was 3, 4, actually. And then I lived in 3 different houses during my school years, during my elementary school years. And then in high school, I lived in Australia for a year.
Wow.
And then I had 2 different houses in my so 3 total in my high school years. And and then going off to university and being married. And actually, this house that we're in now here in California, this is the longest that I've ever lived in one house. And it's been 9 years.
Gee.
So that's the absolute longest. Actually, it's the longest we've ever lived in one community.
Wow.
So we are putting down roots, ladies.
Well, I don't know if that makes you the winner of this or the loser, but
I feel like
you have been supporting the moving industry quite nicely.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We've been doing our job to stimulate the economy.
There you go. And we appreciate it.